Hello, grade 8s. Okay, today we are learning about solving linear equations. Okay, one-step linear equations in the form of ax equals b, where a and b can be any number and x is our variable. So let's get into it today. So first things first, I want to review some key terms. So the first term is equation, a mathematical statement with two expressions that have the same value. So how I like to remember this is I look here and this is EQUA. That's almost like equal. So that's a hint that an equation has an equal sign in it. Okay, if there's an equal sign, it's an equation. So something like this is an equation, okay? Even something like this, y equals x, is also an equation because we have an equal sign. So if there's an equal sign, that is an equation, okay? Isolate the variable is getting the variable by itself on one side of an equation. So, for example, an isolated variable might look something like this, x equals 4 plus 7, okay? Because the x is now by itself. If we had something like this, 3x equals 9. This is not an isolated variable because the variable is with a 3. In this case, it is. So an isolated variable is when the variable is by itself on one side. Opposite operation is the inverse operation, an operation that undoes another operation. So, for example, an operation such as adding, the inverse of adding is subtracting, and the inverse of subtracting is adding. Okay, and same thing goes. Inverse of multiplying is dividing, and the inverse of dividing is multiplying. Okay, so that's just an opposite operation or inverse operation. So let's get into reviewing some algebra tiles, which are visual representations to represent our equations, and then we'll learn how to solve with opposite operations. So when we have a shaded in algebra tile like these two at the top, these are positive integers and the bottom is negative. Okay, so positive and negative. So in this case, this would be the same as writing x or 1x because we have one of them. So this is x or 1x, and this is the same as 1. Okay, and in this case, this would be the same as writing negative x or negative 1x. Those are the same thing. And here would be negative 1. Okay, so this is how these algebra tiles work. So we're going to use these to model our equations. So some of the questions that you may encounter may look something like this. Write the equation modeled by this diagram. So in this case, let's look at this. The first thing I like to do is write the equal sign. So there we go, equal sign. On this side, we have 3 t's. So I would just write like this, 3t. And on this side, we have 6 blocks, and these are, if we check, they're not shaded in, which means they are negative. So this would actually be negative 6. 3t equals negative 6. And now we have an equation that we can solve. So I'll show you how to solve after we model the rest of these. So let's try this one. So here we have negative 4 f's because there's 4 of them on this side. And on this side we have 12 squares. So let's write this out here. So equals, so on this side we have negative 4f, right? We have negative 4f's, and on this side we have negative 12. Very nice. So this is how we use our algebra tiles to model equations. Now, there's something else here that I want to show you, which is a pie chart. Okay, sometimes you might encounter this pie chart. So if you see this, it actually tells you what is going on here, written in the side right here. So we have on this side, we have negative 2. And on this side, we have m over 3. M divided by 3. That's what this is representing. This is the whole, the circle is the whole, and this is representing dividing it by 3. So m divided by 3. Okay, so that's what we are saying that is. So we need to figure out what the whole is, or the m. So I'm going to show you now how to solve these equations using opposite operations. So let's get into an example here. Here we go. Number 1, 8f equals negative 56. So let's solve. So the first step is we need to locate our variable. Okay, so here's our variable right here. We see it's f, right? And it is married there with the 8. It is right next to it, and when we have a number right next to it like that, we know it's multiplying. So the opposite, we now need to apply opposite operations. So first, locate variable. locate variable, and apply opposite operations. Okay. So we located our variable, and now let's apply opposite operations. So I'm going to rewrite it like this. 8f equals negative 56. And we're going to divide this side by 8. Because we were multiplying, we are now going to divide by 8. Let's just do this in a different color so it's super clear what we are doing. Divide by 8. And now whatever we do to this side, we need to keep this equation equal. Because right now it's not equal because we've just done something to one side. So we have to keep it equal, and to keep it equal, we have to do it to the other side. Okay? So negative 56 divided by 8 is what we have to do. Now what we can see here is on this side, we are multiplying f by 8, right? And then we're dividing it by 8. So it's almost like we're taking 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. We might as well not go anywhere. We're multiplying it by 8 and we're dividing it by 8. So because of that, we can actually cross off these two because they're doing the inverse of each other. So those can be gone. And then we get a new equation here of f equals negative 56 over 8. So what happened is we divided both sides by 8. These canceled each other out, okay? And now we have our next step of f equals negative 56 divided by 8, okay? And now we can solve. And so 56 divided by 8 equals 7. So we can now write here f equals negative 7 because we had a negative there. We have to keep it. Only one negative. And we have our answer. So this is how we apply our opposite operations. We could plug and chug to check our answer. So we could write 8 multiplied by negative 7 equals, and we know 8 times 7 is 56, and we have one negative 56. So this is our answer down here. So it is correct. Okay, let's try another one together. This will be quicker. So here we go. 48. First thing we're going to do, locate the variable. There it is right there next to the negative 4. Now let's apply opposite operations. In this case, the variable's on this side of the equal sign, which is totally fine. It doesn't matter which side of the equal sign the variable is on. So first step is we're going to apply opposite operations. So let's divide this by negative 4. Okay? And then we're going to divide this side by negative 4 as well. And we will get 48, our new equation, divided by negative 4 equals negative 4 divided by negative 4 like this. These will cancel each other out. So now we just have c left over. And so now we can do 48 divided by 4, and we have our one negative, so it's going to remain there, is negative 12. And we get our answer, negative 12 equals c. Okay? So there we go. So it's nothing crazy. We just need to do the opposite operation of whatever is being done to the variable. So let's take a look here now. Now this is looking a little more confusing because we have multiple variables. In fact, I don't actually think we can do this one. So this is a mistake on my part. We need to get rid of one of the variables. So let's get rid of this variable here. Okay. This is not part of the equation. So don't worry about that. Okay. We only are learning how to solve equations with one variable. So in this case, we are going to solve for y. So we can see that on this side of the equation, we have y divided by 12 equals negative 6. So let's apply the opposite operation. So in this case, we're dividing by negative 12. So we are going to multiply by negative 12. And then we're going to do the same thing to this side. Multiply by negative 12 times negative 12. Okay. So we now have negative 12 times negative 12 on this side, and then we're dividing by negative 12. So these are going to cancel each other because they're opposite operations. So these are gone. So we just have y left over. And on this side, we have negative 6 times, sometimes I like to put a dot for times negative 12, okay, equals y. So negative 6 times negative 12, and we'll put our brackets here so we don't get confused, equals y. So now we can do 6 times 12 to get our answer of 72. And since we have two negatives, when we're multiplying two negatives together, it equals a positive. Okay, so 72 equals y. And there is our answer. so let's do a final example. Okay, one more. Here we go. Negative 12 equals t over 3. Okay, so first step, locate our variable. There it is on the right-hand side. It's being divided by 3, so let's do the opposite operation, which is multiply by 3 times 3. And on this side, we're going to times 3 as well. Okay, so now these will cancel each other out. Nice, and we're just left with t. T equals, and on this side we have negative 12 times 3. And so 12 times 3 in this case is going to equal 36. And we have negative 36 equals t. And once again, if we want to check our answer, we can. We can just plug and chug in the equation. So if we were to rewrite our equation in total here, we would have negative 36 divided by 3. And this makes sense, right? Because if we took 36 and divided it by 3, we would get negative 12 on this side. So that is one way we can check our answer, is we can plug and chug and see that it works. Very nice. So I hope this is helpful for 10.1. Please let me know if you have any questions. Send me an email, and we will be good to go.